All right. Well, this is the Friday week, Friday live for the recap. Hello, for Jamming with Jason podcast. Hey, everybody. Just wanted to check in before I head out Friday evening and just do a little recap on a couple of the episodes that dropped this week on Jamming with Jason. But before I get to that, I am wearing a very special shirt today. It's my Joy to the World shirt. Actually got that for my birthday yesterday. And so was wearing it yesterday, and several people actually commented on it. And so just a reminder, when you think Joy to the World, you probably either think of the Christmas Carol, Joy to the world, the Lord has come. Or you think about the Three Dog Night song, which is the one I usually like to think about, which is Jeremiah was a bullfrog burner. He was a good friend of mine. Anyway, joy to the fishes in the deep blue sea, joy to you and me, right? And as I was wearing the shirt yesterday, actually, a couple of people commented on it. And so wanted to share joy to everybody who's listening to this as well. That one of the guys actually stopped me and he said, "I love your shirt. What the world needs right now is more joy." And I couldn't agree with him more. So I'm sporting my new shirt today as well with that. So anyway, as I said, this live is kind of a recap of the episodes this week. And there were a couple of really good episodes this week that dealt with some different topics. So let me just kind of share with you. On Tuesday, we had an episode with Mark Lesser that dropped. And if you don't know who Mark is, you need to listen to the video and find out. There's a lot of people that, mindfulness in the workplace, mindful leadership, those are some terms that are kind of coming out. And some people think, there's really no need, there's no room for that in the corporate world. And I'm here to tell you, if you're one of those people that thinks that, the world is changing, okay? In fact, a lot of research that has been done shows that really the only long-term effective way to lead is actually by being much more mindful in how we're doing it. And so again, some of those terms like authenticity, mindfulness is coming into the workplace. It's been coming that way for a while, but we've really especially seen that the last year or so. So I was excited to talk to Mark because not only is Mark someone who is very mindful, in fact, he has spent decades actually practicing mindfulness, spent time actually living in a Zen Buddhist monastery. So the guy knows what he's talking about. He has tens of thousands of hours of meditation and mindful practice under his belt, which is great. But he also has been the CEO of 3 different companies. Okay, so this is a guy who actually understands it and knows how it applies in the business world and why it actually and honestly is so important. If you're a basketball fan, if you'll remember Phil Jackson, the basketball coach Phil Jackson. If you don't know who he was the coach when Michael Jordan played at the Bulls, won several world championships with the Bulls, moved on to the LA Lakers, my team, go Lakers, from a basketball perspective. And Phil actually has been known, or a lot of people kind of call him the Zen coach. Because he brings a lot of these mindful practices and some Zen Buddhism into how he coached. Now, again, you can say this is all just BS, Jason. Well, it worked pretty well for Phil and the Lakers and the Bulls. They all won some world championships using this. I know it's a little unconventional, but hey, you know what? Just because something is unconventional doesn't mean it doesn't work. In fact, I met Mark Lesser about 3 years ago at it was called the Mindful Workplace Summit. that was held here in California. And so again, don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Go listen to the episode. And what you're going to find is some very big companies like Google, SAP was at that conference, if I remember right. A lot of insurance companies. I mean, big name companies are actually embracing and bringing this into the workplace. So if you're not already doing it, if you're a leader, check it out. Because like I said, Mark knows what he's talking about. So that was the first episode that dropped on Friday, or sorry, on Tuesday. And again, we usually have 2 episodes that drop each week on Jamming with Jason. The second one was with my friend Rob Berry, and we talked about asking better questions. So that's a topic that he's been talking a lot about. One that resonates very, very well with me because, again, I believe that too. One of the sayings that I believe and that I practice is, asking better questions will, let me go back. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the questions that you asked. Okay. And so the better we can get at asking questions, both to other people, but also to ourselves, means that we're going to get better answers. Okay. And so as a result of that, the better questions you can ask yourself, the better you can actually, learn and understand how to ask those questions to yourself and to others, the more successful your life is going to be. In fact, one of the big communication little ninja tricks that I usually share with people is if you don't know what to say or you're not quite sure how to respond to something, the easiest thing to do to start off with is ask a question. And there's some different reasons that I get into when I talk to people about that more. But, one of them is that it slows down your brain. It allows your brain to catch up a little bit. But also the questions are a good way to communicate. Make sure that you are understanding and that you really know and understand the other person's point of view, clarifying what they're actually saying, because that is important when you are communicating. So with that, as I said, the beginning of this was kind of talking about those 2 episodes that dropped this week on Jamming with Jason. And so go check them out. You can find them at jasonmefford.com/jamming with Jason. Now, again, since this is live, okay, Ali Ikram has jumped on too and was asking a question. So let me go ahead and answer that question because that's what I like to do while I'm here live. So usually I'll come on, there'll be a particular topic that I'll talk about. But again, the people that are joining live and that are asking questions, if I have time permitting, which I do today, I'm going to answer your question as well. So I know probably confused Ali a little bit at the beginning because I was talking, but it's not pre-recorded. This is actually live, dude. So the question that he had is what certification should I get after the CIA and the CISA? So if you're in internal audit, you know what those are. If you're not, then you're probably like, what are you talking about, Jason? But let me go ahead and answer Ali's question. So those are 2 certifications. They're professional certifications that a lot of people do get. There are other certifications as well that you can get. In fact, those 2 are what I call 2 of the 3 big certifications. Yep, Ali, you are lucky. Woohoo! Awesome. This happens to be live, so I'm talking to you, man. So those are 2 of the big ones. So if you already have those certifications, then it's a matter of trying to decide what else is going to help you in your career. There's a lot of other ones. What ends up happening a lot of times is people just randomly select certifications. That's not the best way to do it. In fact, I'll tell you a story. I had one person that was asking me, about, they were actually asking me about the CIA because some of the training courses I have actually teach people how to pass those exams. Okay. So he reached out to me and he was interested in that. And I was asking him about what his plan was. And he said, well, I want to get the CIA, which is Certified Internal Auditor. I want to get the Certified Fraud Examiner, the CFE, And he said, I also want to get my CFA. And I said, okay, well, if you're not familiar what CFA is, that's Chartered Financial Analyst. Okay, people who get that are people who are fund managers for hedge funds and investment funds. These are people who are actually creating the portfolios at Fidelity and Schwab or working at banks and other things like that. So it's a very specific, now it is a very valuable, it's a valuable certification to get, but it's not really that relevant for what he was trying to do. And in fact, the CFE, the fraud examiner one, may not be that relevant for him either. Okay. And so, because of that, you really need to kind of figure out what is it that is going to be the best for your career. Okay. And so, again, that's one of the things you're going to want to decide is, what do I want to do in my career and what is going to help me? Because what I'll tell you as an example is, that guy wanting to get those 3 different certifications, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because unless you happen to be an internal auditor who was focused on fraud in a financial institution and also auditing the portfolios within your financial institution, those 3 certifications wouldn't make any sense together. Okay. Plus, each of those takes a significant amount of time and a significant amount of money to get. So, for example, the CFA, it takes you 4 to 5 years to do that, because you take one exam every year. If you fail one of the exams, guess what? It's going to take you an extra year longer, right? So because of that, that's not necessarily the best decision for him. And that's what I was trying to help him understand. So again, that's, Ollie, one of the things you've got to kind of figure out is, what do you want to do, right? And also, do you want to spend that long getting certain certifications? Because what I will share with you is actually CRisk Academy. So I'll put that up here too, ondemand.criskacademy.com. They actually have a lot of other certifications that you can get that are relevant if you are in internal audit, risk management kind of an area, that you can earn in 1 to 2 weeks or maybe a month, instead of, what most people like CIA, it takes a lot of people 2 to 5 years to actually get. And you're spending $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 to get some of those other certifications. CRisk Academy certifications are nothing like that, right? So, so because of that, right, that's some of the things that you could look at. Now, Ali also asked, what are your thoughts on imposter syndrome after getting a higher position? Oh boy, do I have thoughts on that? Okay. In fact, I think that I just did a video with somebody who is actually an expert on imposter syndrome. Okay. Because imposter syndrome, again, is one of those that affects 70 to 80% of people. And so chances are you have it and you don't even realize it. So what ends up happening is, again, as we move up further in an organization, right, we realize the more you know, the more you realize how little you probably do know. Okay. And so as a result of that, often what ends up happening is we start to believe, or we're afraid that people are going to find out we don't know as much as they think we do. Okay. And again, this is true. In fact, what's odd about this is the people who actually know the most are the ones who get imposter syndrome the most, because they realize they don't know as much as they don't know. Okay. And so I do have a whole thing we did. I'm trying to remember if that's dropped on the podcast or not for that. So, but yeah, there's more information about imposter syndrome. And actually, Ollie, if you want to just message me directly so that I'll remember, and I can send you the link or share with you where that is at as well. So again, let's see what else is coming on. Richard Chambers. Hey, Richard, how you doing, man? Trues. Okay. So again, the question was when we were talking about certifications, Ollie had asked about CIA and CISA. But Richard raised the point too that there is the IIA has what's called the Certification in Risk Management Assurance, the CRMA, and it's been fully revamped. So again, if you're in internal audit, in risk assurance kind of functions, that as well is a great certification to get. There's a lot of different options that are out there for certifications. And like I said, the important thing is for you to figure out, is this something that will help me in my career? Don't just go get random certifications just to get certifications. Okay. I know a lot of people, they have like 20 different acronyms behind their names. Great. I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning, right? I have a lot of those 3-letter acronyms behind my name as well. I just don't put them up on my profile because it's kind of embarrassing how many of them I have, right? But the whole point and what I'm trying to say there is that a lot of times people just try to put acronyms behind their name, and just having random certifications will not necessarily help you in your career. Because just like I said with that guy that I was talking to, remember, if I saw his application and I saw those 3 certifications on there, as the hiring manager, I would probably question, why does he have those things? They're actually not very relevant. It's great that he did it, but again, unless I'm somebody who's hiring, maybe somebody who's an internal auditor in that particular, that's a very narrow, specific thing. If I was a chief audit executive of a trading company, a financial service company, I might want somebody with all 3 of those, but chances are I don't need somebody with all 3 of those. 99.9% of the organizations don't need somebody with all of those skill sets. So the other thing is too, that there's, Richard brought up the CRMA, because again, risk management is something that's important. Well, there's the CRMA. There are other risk certifications out there as well, right? Some are good, some are okay, some aren't that great. On a live like this where I don't have direct interaction, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going to be best for you. But again, feel free to go ahead and ping me afterwards if you have more questions about that, because I can kind of point you in some of the directions, especially depending on what you are trying to do. So, all right, Ollie, let's see here. I'm trying to catch up on the comments too. So again, with LinkedIn, I can't comment back to you if you're watching on LinkedIn, but I can try to address what I can during this. So Ollie says he wants to stay relevant and be able to audit anything. Okay, well, I understand that desire. The reality is you won't be able to audit everything and anything at a technical level. Okay, now depending on, again, I don't know where you're at in your career. If you're in leadership, you need to know enough about everything to do what I call the bullshit meter. Okay, and so what the bullshit meter is if somebody's talking to you as a leader, you need to know enough about the information to know if somebody's bullshitting you or not, if they actually know what they're talking about. Okay, so let me give you an example. One of the roles that I had was I was in charge of information security at one point in my career. Now, I am by no means a technical person. I don't have a technical degree. I don't have technical certifications. I don't have that. But I did grow up using computers. I know quite a bit about computers just because of my generation. I was a nerd, okay? And I have spent a lot of my career learning about IT, understanding the environments and things like that. So, to talk to somebody from an IT department, I can tell, I know enough that I know whether they know what they're talking about. Okay. So that's what we're talking about there is, I know that there's this desire to want to know everything, but the reality is you can't be an expert in everything. Now, one of the beautiful things about internal audit, right, is that you actually get to learn a little bit about a lot of stuff. So part of the process is actually learning about it, because again, you don't have to be an expert in commodity trading to be able to audit commodity trading. You need to know enough. You need to bring in people, maybe to help out as an expert on it, but you're not going to be able to know everything. And again, that kind of ties back to the imposter syndrome too. We don't have to know everything. It's okay. I don't know everything. Okay. I promise you, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And that's okay, because my own personal self-worth, isn't dependent on me knowing everything. And like I said, that's one thing. That's why I talk about that with leadership, with people, because sometimes they do get caught into that, and that pulls them into the that imposter syndrome. Okay. So let's see here. What else we got here? Richard, thanks for the sessions. You're welcome. I'm trying to get on here more regularly to do this. Sometimes it ends up being Friday afternoon before I get done with all my meetings and the other stuff I got to get done during the week, but planning to show up more regularly, hopefully earlier in the day for people as well. Richard as well. So the law of diminishing returns on certifications. Yep. If you've his point. So I told you before, right? If I was the hiring manager and I look at somebody and they've got like 20 certifications on their resume, I'm going to kind of question, and Richard kind of used the rule of three. I mean, for me, I think, again, there's certain certifications that, if you're in internal audit, should probably be on your resume, okay, that you're going to want to get. But there should also be some relevant topical things as well that you're going to want on there. And I kind of know which certifications actually have weight and which ones don't. But that's because I've spent my career doing this, developing certifications, working with people, training people. So I kind of know the ones that are out there that actually have substance behind it, and others that don't as well. But like I said, you don't want a bunch of random ones that don't have any connection, because some people are going to wonder why you're doing all of that or why you're spending all of your time and money doing that. But you do, again, need to have some basic ones, because honestly, I'll tell you, and it's one of the reasons why we've been doing a lot more certifications with C-Risk Academy. Certifications are becoming more and more important for you as a differentiator, because because of that, you just need that going forward as a way to prove. Because again, what ends up happening is you can show up and you can tell people that you know something, okay, but they want proof. And if you don't have the proof, then they're not going to believe you. Okay. I had a call with somebody a couple of weeks ago about that. She was actually interviewing for a new position, and they were looking for somebody who had agile auditing background. Okay. And she said, "Oh yeah, well, we've been doing that at our company. I understand the concept. We've been following an agile approach." Company said, "Well, you can't prove it to me, so sorry." Right? She didn't get the job. So she found the Certified Agile Auditing Professional certification on C-Risk Academy and signed up for it. That's why I was talking to her, because she's like, "I'm not letting that happen again." Right? I need something to be able to prove to people that I know what it is. That's what certifications really end up doing for you. Okay. So let me see what else we got here. I am going to have to cut off in a minute because my wife is waiting for me out there, but she doesn't know that I'm in here. So shh. Okay. Okay. Ollie, you brought up the point about the CPA as well. So I am a CPA, but I started my career in public accounting. So I got my accounting degree, which is one of the requirements for it. A lot of people, especially in internal audit, it's more than a certification. A CPA is actually a license given by the government of where you were at. So it actually does hold a little bit more weight than just a regular certification would. But the reality is most people don't even qualify to get their CPA, because let me tell you, the bar is really high on that one. You got to jump through a whole bunch of hoops You have to have an accounting degree, certain number of credit units, usually a master's degree, or at least 150 hours. It's a lot to actually do that. And in fact, for most internal auditors, most of the information that's on there, you're not going to use the rest of your career anyway. So I know that there's a lot of people that push that. There's a lot of job descriptions that still say CPA preferred. Well, unless you're auditing financial statements, okay, if you're doing that, if you're doing internal controls over financial reporting, things like that, then maybe having your CPA would be important. But again, you have to realize, and what I usually tell people is it's not worth the time and effort to get it. And the reason for that is, like I said, a lot of people don't meet the minimum criteria. So a lot of people would have to go back to school, get a master's in accountancy to even be able to qualify to sit for the exam. Then you've got 4 parts. It's a hellish test. Trust me, I have taken it, I passed it, but you're talking about 2 full days of testing. There's 4 4-hour tests. At least I believe there still is. There was when I took it. They were 4-hour tests, and you had to take 4 of them, and you had to pass them with a certain rate. So most people end up having to take them over and over and over again. So that's kind of the answer with the CPA. Again, I know, Ollie, you were saying you don't want to be overlooked for not having the CPA, but if you already have the CIA, I mean, I can see from your LinkedIn feed coming through here, it looks like you have an MBA, CIA, and CISA. So you've already got 2 of the big 3 ones. So you're probably fine on that. If you want to add anything else to it, you probably look at, well, maybe what are some other topical areas, some things that are, maybe more job specific. Again, if agile auditing is one, there is an agile auditor certification you can get. If it's one that maybe relates to, there's a new one out for chief audit executives as well. So if that's a position you're looking for, that's a certification that can give you a little extra edge over other people. So again, that's really probably at least my suggestion on where to go. Again, you're going to have to decide what's right for you. But I just see that for most people, unless you started your career or your academic track for becoming a CPA, usually it's not worth the time and effort, in my opinion. All right. So with that, thanks everybody for showing up today and for going through and talking with me here. I'll be back, but right now I got to run. It's Friday afternoon, actually technically evening, so my wife's probably wondering where I am. So I'll catch you next time I am live. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.